Hey, this is Michael Franti here, and welcome to this episode of the Stay Human podcast. And my special, crazy, amazingly talented guest today is Paul from St. Paul and the Broken Bones. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Good. What is your name, your real name?
My name is Paul.
Paul.
I am Paul. My name's Paul Janeway. So
Paul Janeway.
Just so I guess that's my legal name.
Okay. your legal name. Your barely legal name.
You might. I hope it's pretty legal. I'm married, so
okay, good. Well, tell me about that. You know, you tour a lot. I mean, I see you out on the road all the time, festivals and you know, theaters and everything. And what's it like being married and touring?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it's not a terrible thing. I'm a bit of a homebody, surprisingly, you know, and so I like being home. But it's just one of those weird things where you're like, I also love doing this and performing, and so you try to find that balance. I mean, you know, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. No. But the good thing is, my wife she's a associate director of an honors program at a college.
Oh, wow.
So she's a lot smarter than me.
Nice.
And
that helps.
That helps a lot. So I think the good thing is, like, she has her thing that she does, and I have the thing I do, and
that really makes a difference because then when you get together, you have something that you're sharing with each other. Like,
right.
Oh, here's what I'm doing in my life, and if someone's just waiting at home for you, it's really hard to be that person who's just waiting. And so, where do you guys live?
We live in Birmingham, Alabama.
Nice. Is that where you grew up?
I grew up in Chelsea, Alabama.
Okay.
But nobody knows where the hell that is.
And is that like a tiny speck on the map?
It was 800 people.
Wow. It was 800 people. Is the population growing or decreasing?
Grown a little bit. But it's when I was there, there was a stoplight and a chicken feed store. And that was downtown.
That was downtown Chelsea, Alabama.
So I grew up there, and then
So tell me about that. So you're growing up in Chelsea, and would you hang outside the chicken feed store, or what would you do?
Bizarrely, I feel like in communities down the South like that, church is the epicenter.
Yeah,
and so I grew up singing in church, and like if the church doors were open, since I was about 4 years old, I'd go in. Yeah, I just fell in love with it, which. That's what I thought I was going to do with the rest of my life. Yeah. And then, as your worldview kind of expands, you kind of figure out, well, maybe that's not the way for me, maybe I don't believe.
Was there a song that you loved in church? Was there like one song that was like your greatest hit? Church's greatest hits?
I mean, there's a few, man. There's still some I hear, It Is Well With My Soul. Anything about a storm.
Can you sing like a little bit of one?
Peace like a river attendeth my way.
Nice.
I love it, man.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, but I grew up singing. I love those songs. Anything about a storm and trials, and I still to this day, man. I stood on the banks of Jordan or the mighty clouds of joy when they do. I've been in the storm too long, man.
Why? What is it about storms that fascinates you?
I don't know what it is. I think for me, it's like I always kind of have this chip on your shoulder, growing up where I grow up, and people assume things, and I always kind of feel like I'm ready for the storm. I'm trying to fight it, and you're like, and I find that I think when you're trying to figure out who you are and your identity and those things, I think that's a difficult thing.
Mm-hmm. I read a lot of songs that are also just about challenge, whatever it is in life. It's one time I was with George Clinton, and I was talking about the funk, and he said, the funk is just the blues sped up.
Right.
And it's like you sing the blues, you sing your story of what you're going through. That's the hardest, things, the most painful things in your life, saddest things in your life. And then when you sing it, it's like you let it go. Right. And then you can speed it up, and you can celebrate then afterwards. And I see that in your shows. I see that mix of like of tortured love, of celebration, and of elation. And so at what point did you go from singing church music to not church music? I
mean, when I was about 18, 19, you kind of fall out of love. You start your worldview starts expanding, and so I started doing open mic nights, and I didn't think I was much of a singer, and so I'd go play a new guitar, and I could sing, and so I was like, man, getting a reaction out of these people. I know I'm not a decent guitar player. I'm a mediocre guitar player and a mediocre piano player. So I was like, man, it must be something. So I just kind of continued, but it's a wild story, man. I was working at a mechanic shop as a gopher.
Wow.
And I lost my job when the crash happened, and I thought, man, I want to make music. It was therapeutic, and you have other things happen in your life that you feel like are, you need that therapy, and my buddy Jesse, who's the bass player in this band, we got together, and my life was kind of kind of going up, you know. And after I'd gone back to school or whatever, and so we get together, make a little recording, and it turned into this band. It was kind of a last hurrah.
Wow. So was he interested in, soul music, or was he just a kid with a bass who was like, whatever you want to do, let's get down,
Yeah, I mean, I think that was his philosophy. He heard my voice, and I sing the way I do, and it's just the way I sing, and so he was like, all right, well, maybe I should write music around your voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. So I'd never really done the band thing. I've been in church. And so so that's what we did. And that it's kind of, I'm still really feel new to this though.
How old are you now?
I'm 33.
Okay. So you're still.
Yeah. And so we've been a band for 5 years, but I still feel like I'm, new, I
remember seeing a video of your guys must have been like 4 years ago. So I must have just seen it when it's just popping off. And I was like, wow, this is really, really great. I mean, I love, I grew up listening to like Stax,
right.
And Al Green is like one of my favorites.
God,
and it was a really funny story. One time I was playing on this TV show in England, and Al Green had been on the show the week before. And I go up to this guy who was one of the techs there, and I shake his hand. He goes, I don't know if you want me to shake my hand. He goes, I'm not feeling so well. I got this cold. And I go, that's all right, man. I'll shake your hand. He goes, I got this cold last week because Al Green was here and he had a cold.
Oh, man.
And he was blowing his nose, and I was the guy who had to take the tissues. And I was like, you got Al Green's cold?
Yeah.
I want that. I want Al Green's cold.
100%.
If I can just get a little bit of whatever's been in his voice, whatever germ was
100%.
there, give it to me. Yeah. So who are your artists growing up? Like, who did you really?
I mean, so, we'd listen to church music. My mom was pretty strict about what I listened to, and I didn't rebel, so we had a little bit of church music, but the soul music was the thing that kind of, she just, for some reason, it's this odd thing, but we listened to the Stylistics and Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, and it's been, that's what I listen to, man. And obviously now, we're such in a world with the internet and everything where you can listen to anything you want.
Yeah.
And that's fun to me. Yeah. That's fun to me. That's what's been really great. But I always feel like I'm playing catch up because I didn't grow up with the Beatles or the Stones or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm caught up. I feel like I'm caught up to a degree now, but there's still holes in my catalog. Yeah. And so that's fun.
You got to get into your EDM next, and you got to go classical. Then you got to go.
Yeah, I don't know about the EDM thing. I don't know if I can handle that.
No, I think, man, I could hear your voice on top of a really hot beat. I mean,
what's crazy is I've tried that a little bit. Yeah. And it's not a world I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean.
And I'm slowly giving up. Slowly all right, maybe I'll try something.
Yeah. Do you write the songs in your band?
I write the lyrics, and I write, obviously, some of the, all the vocal melodies and things like that. And I mean, me and Jesse typically, but for me, songwriting, and it's hard to, because there's a lot of ego involved, but I've learned that if you surround yourself with really good musicians, that, and you try and kind of glean what they have, that I feel like you might be better off. And we just learned that through our process. And so I like that. I like that style. I still get a little no, that's the way I want it, you know? And, but I don't know, man. It's an interesting process. It was kind of buffet style.
Yeah. Do you have a certain way that you write? Like you pick up a guitar, or do you write lyrics all the time, or does it just come to you in a stroke of, in the storm? You just get struck by lightning, and here it comes out of my lips.
It varies. I mean, I obviously, I'm, as a vocalist, I'm always going to hear things vocally. Yeah. And so, if something hits me, I'll be on, I'll put it on my iPhone or having a recording device. I have ideas.
Isn't the iPhone just so great for that?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Just in the bathroom.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And so I do it that way, or, if I'm reading something and something strikes me, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Try to always, I there was a guy, Lonnie Holly, who's a folk artist, and he opened up for us not long ago, and he's constantly an artist though.
Yeah.
Like, so he uses material around him and makes it in the art, and man, it was so inspiring because I feel like that's how we should be as musicians, as artists, is like always
absorbing, always
absorbing.
taking it in.
It was really, he's a genius, and so I was like, I kind of feel like that's always like the door is always open.
Yeah,
and I think that's really important to what we do. So I try to be as creative as I can and always kind of keep it in.
Yeah. What's the first thing you remember from being a kid? Like the very, very, very first thing? Chelsea, Alabama.
I remember Mary Poppins. And
wow.
I remember getting in. I remember getting in the chimney and trying to.
That's awesome.
And my mom.
How far did you make it?
Well, the problem is I got soot all over the carpet and everywhere.
Whoa.
My parents were just so mad. It was the first house that they lived in, and I was sitting there as a kid. We grew up in a trailer and then got into a house, and I come in there and start stomping soot all over there. I'm going to say she whooped me.
I'm going to say you deserve it.
I was going to say I deserve the whooping. I got it.
Disney. Just blame Disney.
They
corrupt kids from a very early age.
They do.
So what's the next things for you guys? You guys are constantly writing and in addition to touring, or?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the process of writing another record, and it's all, you know how it is, like always on the road, and you feel like, all right, when I get off the road, I gotta go write.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at writing on the road. I don't know how you are.
It's hit and miss on the road.
Yeah, on the road, it's hard for me.
I feel like I start a lot of things, but I don't finish them.
Right. There's not any finishing. There might become an idea, but writing, starting to write another record, and it's funny, I have been called to, like, hey, come sing on this or sing on that, and I've been experimenting with that, which is kind of fun and different. And so man, that's just keep going. Just keep on trucking, man.
Yeah. Nice. So as a band, what are your aspirations? Like, does your band feel like we want to do other kinds of music, or this is just our groove that we're in, or you guys constantly stretch out? Or?
Yeah, I always want the musical palette to expand.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're true to yourself, and true to what you do, I feel like that's the most important thing, is to kind of expand the music palette. And for me also, another thing is, like, I want, success is not a bad thing as long as it's on your terms.
Yeah.
You're not having to, whatever, put a Budweiser sign around, or whatever on whatever. So I think that's important. And I think that's kind of the end goal. So, I mean, man, the goal of the band was to sell out a 200-cap venue in Birmingham, Alabama.
You can die happy
years ago. And I was like, so from there, it's like, well, all right, it's gravy, So that's kind of my position.
You guys wear suits on stage. I got to ask you this, because I sweat like, it's nobody's business on stage. And I get at the end of the night, I'm rinsing my shirt out in the sink, or our tour manager's stuck doing it or whatever at the end of the night. And then we hang it up on the bus. But you can't really, like, rinse out a suit.
No.
So tell me about, like, how do you deal with the wet, sweaty suits?
Well, I have 3 that I rotate.
Okay.
But they get pretty.
Do they have names? They must have names.
Man, they're walking at this point. I'm hoping they can last me till October. But You put it in the we have a wardrobe case, which I thought was something we'd never get, but you have, dryers in there that takes the moisture out, and you try to spray it. Apparently vodka gets the smell out a little bit. Don't ask me.
Maybe if it smells really bad, you're supposed to drink the vodka and you just forget about the smell.
That's it. Awesome.
Well, man, it's been awesome getting to know you a little bit.
Much,
I love your music. I'm a big fan, and for anybody who's never seen you before, your shows are just so dynamic, and they're full of love. They're full of passion, of, like I said before, like this tortured soul music, but done in a very elated way. There's humor mixed in.
Yeah.
You're a great dancer. This dude is like, he's like everything, man. This guy is like, he's like Michael Jackson, man, And but the shows are just super fun, and so I recommend very highly. If anybody is ever, sees your guy's name pop up, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, go out and make sure that you see the show.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been awesome to be here, man, with you. It's really
awesome.
It's really cool to share the stage with you, and I look forward to doing it more.
I don't think this is the last time we're doing it.
No, sure. Maybe we'll do a song together sometime.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be great.